And the lab continues. Welcome back to the lab. We have a veritable internet superstar on the show next. From Austin, Texas, Bernie Burns is here. You may know him from his project, Red versus Blue. Bernie, it's great to talk to you.
Leo, it's great for you to have me. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to talk to you for years. Now, I'm just reading your bio. Your history is kind of interesting. You were a student at U of T, and you put up a low power TV station.
Yeah, I was at the University of Texas, and because Austin is the capital of Texas, there was a lot of initiatives for the university to have cool technology, and one of those things was a low wattage broadcast license.
How cool.
So we took advantage of that and set up a student-run television station, and it was the first 24-hour all student-run television station.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that gave you the bug.
Yeah, I was a computer science student, and I was actually pre-med to start with and then switched to computer science in my senior year. This was just as the internet was getting big, and so I found out I had to use stuff like organic chemistry for electives, and I had nothing left to take, and so I found myself on campus for, only 6 hours for classes, and then I had to fill up my time with something else.
Right.
And I didn't want to get a job. So.
Did you ever work in mainstream media after that, or did you stay with the internet the whole time?
No, I never really had the chance. I made a movie. This was after Robert Rodriguez. He went to the University of Texas as well.
Right.
He made El Mariachi, and so there was a huge amount of energy on campus that anybody could spend, $9,000 on a movie and set Hollywood on fire. And so I got together with some buddies, and instead of taking film classes, I just decided to make a 16-millimeter feature. It took about a year. But by the time we were done with it, we just started working on other stuff for the internet, and it just took off from there.
When did you have the idea to start using video game footage instead of real video footage?
Well, a couple of the guys that I worked on the movie with went off to Hollywood. A buddy of mine, Matt, went off to work in visual effects.
Right.
And another one of my friends went off as an actor to make it in Hollywood as an actor. And so I was in Austin working a tech job and didn't really have access to lots of people who had any production experience. So was playing video games all the time and was writing for this really funny video game review site called Drunk Gamers. And I was the Xbox guy, and it was the first year the Xbox came out, so all anyone ever cared about was Halo. And so I was just working in Halo all the time and trying to do cool new stuff in Halo to make it funny and interesting and promote it. And just came up with the idea for Red versus Blue one day.
Let me show people so they understand if they haven't seen it. This is a little bit of Red versus Blue. You're using actual video game footage, but you've written, it's fortunate you don't see the people's faces, so you can write text for them.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, the first couple of pieces that we did just to explain the concept to people. We said we want to take dialogue and put it over the top of video game footage and use the video game characters not to play the game, but to act out these little skits. And, once you can see it, it makes perfect sense, but try to explain it to people, sometimes it's a hard thing to wrap your mind around until you actually sit down and watch one of the videos. And then you're like, oh, yeah, this totally makes sense.
It's very funny. I mean, as always is the case, writing is key to everything. But what you've done here, which is neat, is, you've got the writing. You still have to put the hard work in writing, but instead of having a set and a crew and camera operators and actors, well, I guess you still have actors, but the actors are you and your partners.
Or in the case of animation, we don't need animators.
Right.
The room full of 80 people to work for a year and a half, to make a movie.
So you're Church, Vic, and Lopez, we should say, in Red versus Blue.
Right.
And you do another one called The Strangerhood, and you're Griggs and Tovar in that.
Right. We did a couple of different ones over the years. Red versus Blue is by far the most popular one.
Oh, yeah.
But we've done ones in The Sims. That was The Strangerhood. We did one in Fear that was called Panics. So we've worked on a lot of different stuff, but we've stuck with Halo and Red versus Blue because it's just been so popular for us.
Well, and there's a real irony and a humor in these guys in these, armor with the guns and the things they say. I mean, it's really fun that way. It plays off of the silliness of the situation, I guess.
And that's kind of how it started. These video games, they have these huge, epic multiplayer.
They're so serious about everything.
What's that?
They're so serious.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to think, what would these guys, if these guys actually had a life when the video game was turned off, what would it be? They'd have to kill time like most military guys. They'd just hang around the base, and what would they do?
Now, how hard is it? I mean, I'll go back through this video that we just showed this little clip of. some of it, obviously, you're modifying later. For instance, that list that says meatball sandwiches, grinder, hoagie stuff, that's not in Halo. You obviously put that in later.
Yeah, there's no meatball subs in Halo. Yeah.
But a lot of this is Halo. I mean, you do have to have the characters do stuff. For instance, this big, massive explosion here. So how hard are these sequences to create?
Well, a lot of it, the video game takes care of everything. That's the cool part about machinima, which is what all this is called.
Right.
The art of using video games to make little movies. And, the video game handles the lighting. It handles the sound effects. It handles everything that you would have a staff of people working for months to do. I mean, it handles it on the fly and in real time.
That's kind of an inspired idea. Now, I think as far as I know, you were the first machinima I ever saw. You created this concept, didn't you?
No, actually, machinima's been around since the Doom and Quake days.
Really?
Yeah, Quake was some of the first stuff. And actually, we weren't even the first people to do Halo machinima. But I think once Red vs. Blue kind of crossed over, into that territory where it was just one of those things that people watch on the internet, that's when the whole thing kind of took off.
Yeah, and now there are lots of people using this to do this. I think Red vs. Blue is still the best.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I encourage people to check it out. It's RedVSBLU. Well, there it is on the screen, redversusblue.com. And how many of these are there? I mean, you've created a lot now.
Well, we did one arcing storyline that was 100 episodes. It's over 5.5 hours, over the course of 5 years. But there's about 250 videos altogether.
Wow. And how long does it take to do one?
We do about 5 minutes a week when we're in the middle of a season, and that takes, a full 40 hours at least to do 5 minutes.
Do you have any temptation at this point to go mainstream, or is this enough for you?
Well, the flip side of all this, too, is we've discovered on the business side of distributing things on the internet, even if we go into like live action or other types of like standard animation, we would still stick on the internet.
Yep, I agree with you. That's where the future is.
Absolutely.
Why go with a dying industry when you can go with a new thing?
I'm glad to hear you say that, because I see a lot of people who are hitting it big in video on the net right now, and it seems like now it's like a farm system for Hollywood.
It ain't!
Yeah, I know. And in 10 years, they're going to be looking back and wondering, we're at a distinct point in history, and they're going to wonder, wow, the opportunities that we had right now to do video and film on the net.
Right.
And they're not going to come again.
Yeah, don't get in the buggy whip business. It's kind of it's gone. It's over. I completely agree with you. I've actually said that many times. Don't see new media as a path to old media. New media as a path to new media, and that's where it's such exciting stuff like Red vs. Blue is happening. It's been so great to talk to you. I really appreciate it, Bernie. You're a pioneer, and you're creating great content online using really interesting tools, and obviously having a lot of fun doing it.
Well, thanks, Leo. It's been an honor to talk to you.
Bernie Burns, redversusblue.com. Rooster Teeth is the company. Take care, Bernie.
You too, Leo.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
Oh, that's exciting. Isn't it neat to see what people are doing with tools you wouldn't even expect? All right, we're going to take a